We're entering one of Germany's or Berlin's restricted areas today. How do you call it?
Berlin-Hohenschönhausen.
Berlin-Hohenschönhausen. So I think this was a prison pretty much.
Yeah.
So is it still a prison? It looks a bit like it. With its barbed wire fence and the barbed wire on top and the
Well, it's supposed to be a
big
museum
wall.
now, so we were in the area and thought we'd check it out.
looks very...
It looks really cool. Like, it looks really authentic. It looks like it's never been changed.
Yeah, I agree.
Looks spooky.
And apart from that, you see all these like German little houses and things which are...
Like, would you want to live there facing that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting point. I don't think I would want to live there facing a jail.
Those houses don't look that new. Like, how old are they? Have they been there when this was still a thing? Like, I think this was operated till 1989, like till the
1989, the Mauer Wall.
till the
Yeah.
wall went down.
Anyway, let's get in there and check it out. Willkommen to Gänsestraße. Wow, the watchtowers are still in full effect though. Hey, have a go at that.
That looks so scary.
And like you can live up there in your apartment facing over watching the restricted area. Gee whiz. I feel a little bit intimidated by this place, hey? It's like, it's nasty looking, don't you think? So this place was actually a Stasi prison for political prisoners and everything like that acting in the war. And essentially, it was operating until 1990, which is when they disbanded it. But you can still do tours today where people who were in the camp themselves take you around. But essentially, this camp was extremely overcrowded. So as you can see down there, it's not that big. Like there's the end watchtower down the end. But there was 4,500 prisoners in this area, and basically it was like food rations and everything like that were just critically low, so people just starved to death. And essentially what their plan was for people to just disappear in this camp. So main political people, opponents of the Russian Communist Party, essentially, they would come here and then they'll just disappear in the crowd sort of thing, die or, you know, just disappear essentially. I think that was the kind of gist of this place. But if you can imagine 4,500 people in here.
I think it was actually more than that. But the thing is, that's what John just told you, it was during the war. And then after the war, when Germany got split into...
That's when they made this. They made it afterwards, yeah.
No.
Oh,
Like, they just claimed it and said, like, cool, we're using this now.
oh okay, yeah.
And then they used it for, like, all the people who tried to flee.
So this was like a Nazi camp sort of thing for prisoners, and then when the Russians came, they took it over?
Yeah, like, after the war.
Ah. It's not that big, and it's very old and eerie, I think.
Okay.
Let's go.
It's bigger than we think.
Let's go take a look around.
But this just looks like buildings.
Yeah, it does look like buildings, but I mean that's all it is anyway. So there was lots of expert interrogators here that would put you in solitary confinement, and there was a few interesting ones. So there was a cell where you were in water or something. So I think you're always standing in water, sort of thing. One where you can't sleep in it, so it's just impossible. There's not enough room to sleep, like a standing cell, and a few other ones. But essentially what the expert interrogators would do is they would break you with not being able to sleep, and physical and mental torture, and like beating you and everything like this, and the sleep deprivation to try and get you to say incriminating facts to incriminate yourself, and then you'd be sentenced to like a work camp.
What I also find really interesting about this is just you look at all the buildings and you're like, oh yeah, it's just a building though. Yeah, because it's not that long ago. Like, they were still operating this like 30 years ago.
Yeah, 29 years. 29?
No, 30 years.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess no, it's like well, the wall.
The barbed wire is still up there and everything.
1989, and they closed this in 1990. Like, that's like, I don't know, 6 years before I was born.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that long ago. That's why it looks like this.
Should we go? Let's go check this train out. The prisoners come in. So this prison camp could tolerate 20,000 prisoners at a time, or 20,000 in general. Oh, what's happening here? such a poor little Australian getting kicked out of the tourist area. My little tourist camera and everything. And the guard comes running up to us and like, out of this area. No, he wasn't. He was pretty friendly.
I was gonna say, he was really nice.
He's friendly, but
advised us friendly. Go have a look at the exhibition instead.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to be around there without a tour guide. But the old act confident movement wins again. We had a bit of a look, didn't we, Miss Gita Zuba?
We didn't really see much, to be honest.
You're a little troublemaker. Hey, you knew that was happening, didn't you?
Yeah.
But anyway, we've got this museum to check out now.
It's a pretty cool exhibition. Like, it's really interactive and lots of screens and texts and uniforms and
yes.
It's cool. It looks good. I like it.
Would you like to be a Stasi officer, Gita?
No, thanks.
No, thank you. Oh. Oh, wow. Gita, look at this. What do you think that's for?
Smacking?
Smacking? Yes. So I just read on your outdoor break in the prison, you can only receive half an hour of air per day and no standing. No leaning on the wall, no speaking, no singing, no whistling. What else was it? No fun.
But you also read a bit, like that's how much they were supposed to get, but it didn't really happen. They didn't get any air for like a month.
So no leaning on the wall, no speaking, no singing, no standing, no...
No talking, no communicating.
Well, essentially it said the officer was waiting, ready for action. Action.
Sometimes with that, I think like maybe this also they liked their role of having so much power over somebody else.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel
Power
like
trippy, yeah.
Yeah.
You still see that today with like some people in those sort of positions.
I mean, sometimes even like police officers or so. You
Well,
just
that's what I mean, yeah.
You ask a nice question and feel like, like please don't do anything to me.
Don't get the beating stick out.
That's right.
So this was the leadership corridor, essentially. So all the leaders would walk down this hall and into their relevant room through here. If you're a Stasi officer, maybe you worked in here. One of these little offices. What do we got in here? The door that shuts looks like a wall. I think what you can't appreciate right now is it kind of smells. Smells a bit old in here, I think.
It's just old, but like kind of like grandma's house old, like not
Yeah, like
old than that.
yeah, like a grandma's household. That's the kind of smell in the officers' quarters,
Well,
essentially.
this is probably like all original carpet. This is all original.
Yeah,
That door is a hidden door in the
yeah,
closet to the civilian's room.
it's kind of funny.
Lights are original.
Huh?
Reasons are.
Yeah, it's a hidden door. That's right.
Oh, you can see it.
Surveillance room. Oh my goodness. I think an interesting thing for me, like looking at all this, is like you can sort of see like, oh yeah, they had bugs and stuff like that, but you can actually sort of see electronic equipment like a little microphone pen and things like this. All these kind of things that are like, that's kind of recent technology, which is kind of a scary part of it.
Yeah, grandma's house, like it looks how it was 30 years ago. And it's really crazy if you think about like how horrible the people had to live here, like in what a horrible way, and like how they were in the prison and not allowed to do anything, and they were like tortured, that's probably the right word.
Yeah.
And then you see the photos and like, yeah, they're standing there, they're happy. They're part of the secret police or whatever you call it.
Well,
security
as long as
staff.
you're not on the losing side of history, that's the main thing. Wow, even the wallpaper's intact. Very, very fascinating. So that's the end of Camp X, I guess. We had a good look around, but they called it Camp X. Isn't that funny? I found it so funny. Like the museum was really interesting, but did you find it funny how like prisoners would come here and then they said like they describe it as if the prisoners would come here and then just disappear? You'd like that?
I don't like it. It makes you feel super uncomfortable when you're in there.
Yeah, and like they wouldn't tell
But I
the
can really
prisoners
imagine
where they were, and like they'd sit them in isolation when they got here for a month or so before even talking to them.
Yeah, they didn't know where they were, or like what was going to happen to them or anything.
Starve them a bit and everything. So
Yeah.
very interesting, very interesting. My first Stasi camp, but I think it's just so eerie that it was only 30 years ago kind of thing that it happened. So even the technology, like the wiretaps and stuff like that to spy on people, it's like you can see it and you're like, oh yeah, I could buy one of those on eBay sort of thing. Like it's not that far off what we have currently. So it's very real. I think that's what the key thing is. It's very real. Signing off from Camp X.